These are exciting times. This is the time that me and others in the industry have worked for, which is demonstrating that digital media is truly the most efficient way for a large brand advertiser to reach their targeted audience. So as bigger dollars continue to flow into our space, there's just a lot of excitement, a lot of great things, and certainly a lot of things that at DoubleVerify we're able to get involved in to demonstrate the power and the performance of every digital ad dollar.
So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing, some new products and some user interfaces and how the system is working and who's using it.
Yeah. Well, to begin with, what began as simply ensuring that brand safety was upheld in every digital promotion. Viewability has become a very important part of what advertisers seek, and now finally, ensuring a fraud-free impression. So delivering what we call an authentic impression, which is an ad impression that is both brand safe, in view, and free of fraud, is ultimately what every digital online advertiser seeks. And at DoubleVerify, our technology is continually being able to demonstrate that cross screens, cross formats, and in ways that are very, hopefully, simple and user-friendly, especially for the brand advertiser.
So you're going to the ANA this week. Brands are concerned with this topic. What is the, well, you'll know what the climate is once you get there. I know the ANA has been very vocal about the problem. Where does the industry stand? What's your perspective on that?
What we see, Andy, is the brand advertiser who in the past didn't get terribly involved in the quality of the technology or the quality of the media that they're replacing, now sees that they need to understand exactly where and how their money is being spent. As really kind of the working media that's ultimately placed is less than 50 cents on the dollar because there's so much being eroded in the form of either fraud, non-viewable impressions, less than transparent or authentic impressions. And so advertisers realize that it's ultimately their checkbook. It's their job as they're certainly accountable for demonstrating performance and sales revenue from the ads. And as DoubleVerify's technology is able to really give them not just peace of mind, but ultimate performance metrics, what we see is the brands now are getting much more knowledgeable and demanding on the transparency of where every media dollar is being placed.
Great, and not to name names, but who are the bad guys? What are some of the problems that exist now that need to be cleaned up, if they can be, to increase viewability and combat fraud?
Simply, we continually look at both where ads are being placed, how they're being rendered, and who they're being delivered to. And so the where, especially in programmatic media, which is still growing rapidly, really affects the difference between the URL that is being bid on and ultimately the site where that is being placed. And the disguise that fraudsters will place between the two ends is a big issue. And we're able to see through the iframes, unpack the difference between the bid and the placed URL, and ensure that the ad is showing up in exactly the quality and kind of site that the advertiser intended. And that's not always so easy with masked URLs, that fraudsters seek. The how they're rendered especially affects digital advertising, where advertisers expect oftentimes their video ads to show up in a free streaming pre-roll. In more than half the cases, they're actually delivered in a banner, and half of those cases in a banner that is inferior and hard for the user to actually see. And then there's other tricks that are played with sound off and invisible pixels, and you go to a website and you notice that I can kind of hear something running in the background, but I don't actually see it. Those are examples of where, through pixel stuffing or other methods, fraudsters will disguise the quality of what's placed.
And Wayne, just to kind of put this in perspective, are things better now than they were a year ago, and will they be better or worse a year from now? Or give us your idea about the continuum.
Yeah, I think the quality continues to improve, but there's still ways to go. It's a supply and demand issue, and again, especially in digital video, where the demand still outstrips the supply, and that tends to lend itself to a little bit of overreaching sometimes, or the ability for kind of the bad guys to enter this situation. And certainly in video, the CPMs are often 10 times the price of display advertising, and so once again, between the supply-demand difference and the pricing difference, there's a lot of play in there for for funny things to happen.
And Wayne, talking about programmatic for a minute, so does that create opportunities or problems? Sometimes the programmatic scenario is closed. It's a private exchange sort of thing. Sometimes it's open and bidded. How do you see viewability around programmatic video kind of on both sides of that coin?
It's tricky, and it's candidly a little confusing sometimes. For example, we know there are some cases where the numbers being reported are actually publisher side metrics on video, which means it's when the ad call is being made from the publisher, not when the ad is actually being served. And publisher side metrics always look better. So for example, when you're waiting for that ad to show up and it's buffering, there are some people who are reporting that as an in-view ad, simply because the call is made. And we know until it's actually rendered and visible on the screen, that's actually when the clock should start. You know, I compare it to tracking a phone call or counting a phone call while it's still ringing, not necessarily when the person answers. And so we need to normalize, you know, those kinds of issues as an industry. And as we do that and make advertisers more comfortable with the quality of the environment that they're putting their dollars into, we'll all reap the rewards. More ad dollars will come online, the ecosystem will do better, and it will benefit all of us. And we're not yet there, Andy, and you know, certainly DoubleVerify is an important player in this dialogue, in this process. We'll get there, little by little.